Hello, and welcome to Faith and Fire, where we help ignite your faith with the fire within. I'm your host, Francine Alfred, and thank you for joining me. I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. This show will share powerful stories and insights that will uplift and inspire. We'll explore ways to fuel your faith and unleash the fire within you. Stay tuned. I will be right back with today's guest. Hello, and welcome to Faith and Fire, where we help ignite your faith with the fire within. Thank you for joining us. I have a very special guest with me today. My guest is an award-winning banking and financial expert who currently resides in Toronto, Ontario. He is the founder of How Foundation, a nonprofit charity organization that strives to unlock the potential inside marginalized communities through skills training. He is a songwriter and gospel recording artist, as well as the award-winning author of his book, When Light Fades Away, Hope Remains. He is also a devoted father to his beautiful daughters, Kayla and Shayna. Please join me in welcoming Willy Gakunzi. Welcome.
Thank you, Francine.
That is quite a bio. Very accomplished man.
Thank you. I'm humbled. Thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm well. Thank you. Yes, thank you. We're so glad to have you here today.
My pleasure.
We'll begin. Tell us about yourself. Tell us, where you're from. Tell us about your childhood. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you've captured it all. So, as you said, my name is Willy Gakunzi.
Yes.
I was born in Democratic Republic of Congo. Back then, it was called Zaire. I grew up there, and at age 14, we moved across to Rwanda. That was right after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis. And then later on, I found myself in Europe, in the Netherlands. I pursued my education there, and then I got married. I moved to Canada in 2016. I'm a father of the two beautiful, gorgeous ladies. And I'm a child of God. I'm a believer, and I'm an author as well. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yes. Oh no, I was going to say, tell the viewers, don't be fooled. Like I said, he's quite an accomplished man. So, I want to start. Let's go back to your childhood growing up, because in your book, and we'll talk about your book in more depth shortly. But you talk about, a lot of the difficulties you had growing up. Can you talk more about what you went through as a child?
Yeah. Again, my childhood has less of visual captured memories. Really what I have, it's sort of fading memories. But what stuck with me, two things. One, growing up is this purity and loving community I found myself in. It was so pure. Back then, don't be surprised, we didn't have TV. We listened to radio, but we would play outside in the nature. We would go after herding our cattle as young boy. So it was really this innocent, pure, worryless lifestyle. But around age 10 or so, when I started making sense of what life is, things had changed. I believe they were the same when I was still young, but I didn't make sense of it. But when I started making sense of life, I experienced some of tragic events that not only any human should go through, but less a child. Yeah. So, and that transition between that innocency to seeing things happening that you don't know why they're happening against your community and the country itself, kind of confused me. I didn't know why, and I didn't understand.
Right.
But I came to understand later on the dynamics of what was going on, unfortunately still going on presently back home. So my childhood was a mix of souvenirs and memories. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because, I can't imagine, going through, and having, many times we hear on the news, or we'll see images on the news, and it's one thing to see or hear that, but it's another when you live through it. So it's, as growing up, when did you give your life to the Heavenly Father? Did you do it when you were a child, or did that help you to get through some of the difficult times as a child?
Yeah, so growing up again, my father was a pastor,
Right.
so I grew up in a church. But that contradicted a bit what was happening in the reality. So I didn't understand we are believers, the community was living in harmony, but one day after, one community turns against the other, right? Because of bad politics and different interests. So I was confused at the root causes of that. But then when we moved to Rwanda, I was an adolescent trying to find out what life is, and we had again transitioned from the Congo, but we went to Rwanda, a country that was completely destroyed. There was literally nothing. So when I turned 17, 18, that's when I really made the decision to follow Jesus as a personal savior. I grew up in church, I was singing, I didn't drink, I didn't do silly things. Well, here and there, right? Exactly. Everyone does that. But really when I turned 18, that's when I made the decision to follow Jesus. And I would think that all those experiences in my childhood and later on were kind of preparation of who I am today.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. I think our life experiences definitely help shape who we become.
Yeah.
As people. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. I like to say that our life is really a summation of experiences.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. That's a great quote, actually. Yeah. Now, your book, as we mentioned, when light fades away, hope remains, right? Yeah, feel free to hold it up and let the viewers see what it looks like. It really is a great compilation of everything you've gone through, but let's start with why you wrote your book.
That's a great question. A bit hard to answer because there are so many dynamics in it. One, I think this is more than a book to me. It's really my heart being poured out with the highest level of vulnerability, opening up through my whole life. So the book is made of 3 main parts.
Yes.
Part 1, where I talk about my journey to light. Part 2, where I talk about finding my lights. And part 3, where I'm kind of reaching the highlight of the book, when light fades away. And how do you survive, or how do you live after what you think was life seemingly disappears to you. So the genesis, or the reason why I wrote the book, it was after the loss of my wife, kind of not only finding my way to grieving and to healing, but also giving hope to anyone facing all sorts of adversity, that even though we go through that and light fades, there is a hope that remains, that helps us picking our pieces and continue to live.
Right, yes. So we talked about the first part of the book, growing up in your childhood. Let's take it to the next part where you're coming to Canada. Tell us more about that, and what life was like when you migrate to Canada with your family.
So as I said, my beginnings, we went to Rwanda, and then later on I went to Europe as an asylum seeker, as a refugee, and that's where I met my late wife, right? As young boy, full of dream, aspiration. I was at university, and she was at the college as well. again, different things happening in life without really grasping why they're happening. You are full of dreams. You kind of almost catching that aspiration you had of life. So we had a very loving relationship as children of God. We got married amidst adversities with navigating the system in Europe as an immigrant. And then fast forward in 2016, we were then a young family with two young kids. Our youngest was, when we moved, actually, she was 4 months, and the oldest was 4 years. Fast forward 2 years later, my wife had just graduated from college here as a software engineer, and I was flourishing career-wise. She went to work, but never returned. In the morning, we had celebrated one night before celebrating her graduation. She was working with an insurance company. I won't mention the name. I'm not doing the publicity for that company here. So she went to work. We talked during the lunch break. We had plans for that evening. Around 4, I received a call that she was no longer there. So that's a bit the life kind of starting modestly, growing into a flourishing, accomplished career and young family, into kind of devastating from grace to grass, as they say. And that was my hardest moment of life. As even though you would think I had seen it all, I've seen many people who died, have seen what genocide did in Rwanda, but losing your young half self, not sick, it was the hardest part of the experience.
You know, as you talk about your wife, can you tell the viewers a little more about her? Like, just what she was like.
Yeah.
You know, like, what, as I think they'd love to know a little more about her.
Yeah, and that's a fair question, I think, and that's why I called the book itself "When Light Fades Away." Estelle was, to me, that's her name, by the way. She was a light to me, and what do I mean by that? Light does two things. One, it exposes what was hidden. Right? If we are in this room and the lights goes down, I won't be able to see you. But when the light turns on, I will be able to see you. So light exposes what is hidden. But there is another level of light. It makes you understand. So the inside side of it. So what Estelle did to me and my relationship with her was, one, it exposed my strength, what I had that I did not know, but it also helped me to understand the meaning of human interactions and human impact when the relationship is lived at its full potential. So she was beautiful physically, and she was, but the beauty, the physical beauty was. It's the small part. The bigger part was her heart was big. And I thought I understood how big her heart was, but I only knew little because it was beyond what I knew. I came to know aftermath, knowing how many people she had impacted, me not knowing.
Right.
Yeah. So she was a light. She was the love of my life, but she was a good friend and partner, and she did play her part well. She lived her chapter very well, and I can't wait to meet in heaven and celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
For sharing, more.
Yeah.
About her with us.
Yeah.
And when you go through something so difficult like that, I think a lot of times, and I'm sure, a lot of you viewers can relate, when you go through something, and especially when it's so tragic like that, with the passing of your wife, and suddenly your life plans change, and they change not in a way that you expected or even wanted, let's be honest, right? How do you pick up the pieces after, Estelle's passing? You have two young daughters to take care of. How do you pick up the pieces and move on now a single father?
Wow, that's I think the hardest part, and I don't want to pretend like a life lesson that you have to follow this rule. It plays out in different ways depending on what you're going through. But two things. One is when you go through such a tragic event, you feel lonely.
Yeah.
You are lost, you are confused, and you feel not seen. You feel like you are really by yourself in your own island, even though you are surrounded by many.
Yeah.
So that's the hardest part. And when you go through that, you really have two options. And the easiest one is to give up.
Yeah.
Is to give up, fall into despair, and life becomes just a mess, right? But the other option you have is really to realize, yes, these are facts. They can't change. And that's what I talk about in my book. You have to come to understand, yes, these are facts. I'm not going to change. I'm hurting. Things have happened terribly. I can't do anything about it. There are so many things I don't understand, but I choose to live.
Yeah.
Regardless of how hurting it is, but that realization of facts, which I call the truth and dare, kind of we play that game, right? They would ask you truth and dare, and when you say the truth, you're really exposing some weaknesses of yourself.
That's right.
But if you say dare, you're jumping into unknown, because they can dare you to do something really that is terrible.
Yeah.
So in life is the same. When you go through this, I think those two options, and the hardest is to choose to dare. Say, I don't know what is happening. I don't understand. I don't even see where I'm going, but I choose to jump. And that is where hope comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
What does power of hope mean to you?
Whew. Power of hope means to me that it is possible to me as well. It can happen to me. As believer, we read somewhere, I think in Hebrews, that Abraham reached to a point where he hoped against all hopes. That means even what seems to be hopeful is no longer hopeful, but you still hope, because deep inside of you, you know it can also happen to me. So to me, power of hope is that inner deep conviction that it is possible for me as well. Yeah.
You talked about, how difficult it was to pick up the pieces after Estelle's passing. And I could definitely relate to this. Now, I have never been married, so I have not lost a spouse. But when my dad passed, a few years ago, I definitely know what you're talking about. That was definitely one of the worst points in my life. And can you talk more about when something like that happens and, you lose someone that is so close to you, so dear to you, and you're hurting so badly, but the world is going on, life is going on. Yeah. Can you talk a little more about that and what your advice would be, to someone who is going through a tragedy, like a loss of a loved one, and how to carry on?
Yeah, and it's really hard. Again, it's no one rule fits all, but few things I believe can be of help, and that I use in my experience. One is that realization that things have happened.
Yeah.
Actually, because we go through different phases, and phase one is the denial. Because you don't want to accept that things have happened.
Been there.
And that denial phase can take long, right? Yeah. And by the time you start kind of realize, oh, by the way, that is not a dream. It actually happened.
Yeah.
That you've kind of gone too far into despair.
Right.
So the earlier we accept, and it is really by the grace of God, the kind of easier, if I may use the term, it gets for us to pick up the piece. Secondly, is to be vulnerable.
Ooh,
really being
preaching here today,
vulnerable.
Willy. And that can be very difficult to do.
It is.
Yes.
That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Because when you lose your loved ones, you can easily fall into the guiltness of, had I known, I would have done this. Like in my experience, because one day prior her departure, we had celebrated her graduation. I know I did all I could. I made her happy. I told her how much I loved her. But when she passed, scenarios could play into my head like, had I known that this was going to happen, I would have done this. I would have taken her to a trip. We would have done this. The things that we postponed, we said we would do tomorrow. So we fall into that scenarized moment of guiltiness. You feel like you had a part to play into it. So being vulnerable, accepting that I have nothing, I didn't contribute to whatever happened.
Right.
It's a key. Third is really when you are vulnerable, you accept help. And the help isn't necessarily that someone is coming to take that weight off you,
right.
but accepting that people do care, you have friends around, because it's very easy to doubt even the genuineness of people around you. So I think those are a few of the tips, but also remembering the love of God.
Yes.
We don't, in those moments, we don't trace his hand, but we can still trust his heart that he is well-intentioned.
And another thing I think I'll add to that I could not have said it better myself. I think another thing that really helped me after my dad passed was also knowing that the Heavenly Father has got this, and, we want to question, well, why did, our loved one pass, and especially at such a young age, and we may never have the answers, and even that can be difficult sometimes, but knowing that he has a plan and he knows best, sometimes just knowing that is comfort.
It is. It is. And I said it in the last chapter of the book. I did question God because I lost my dad when I was 2. So I literally I don't know my dad. I have no memory, right? So I kind of thought I had the right not to go through the same thing, because I was like, God, you did this to me when I was young, and you're doing this to my kids as well. How loving are you here? And reading Psalm 11, verse 3, when foundations are destroyed, what does the righteous man do? And then when you continue reading, verse 4 to 6, it says, the Lord is still on his throne in heaven, observing. So basically, I thought to myself, so he didn't change the position. Where he was before the foundation were destroyed, he's still on the same throne, but he's observing me.
Right.
He's observing how trusting I am, to how I trust him. He hasn't changed. He observes my path, my reactions. So to add to your point, really realizing that the Father in heaven is still the same Father before and after.
That's right.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. The power of love. Let's talk a bit about that. I know, we're hitting all the heavy questions today.
Yeah, the power of love. I understood that love is powerful than death. And what do I mean by that? because of the love you have for someone and for yourself, it empowers you to carry on. And I think we can easily, again, derail by thinking if you write a book about what you went through, it might be interpreted as holding on to your past. But it's not the case.
Right.
Love transcends death, because what sacrifices couldn't do, love did. That's what took Jesus on the cross.
Right.
So love is an enabler. It helps us to navigate and to go through hard times, because again, love is that powerful. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, earlier I mentioned that you run an organization, right, called
Heart of Worship in Action
I was just going to
Foundation.
say, can you tell the viewers what it stands for? Tell us about your organization.
Yeah, so HOW Foundation stands for Heart of Worship in Action Foundation. So this is, again, one of my response to this loss. And I want to encourage someone on that. We tend to postpone things. You have a plan, you have that burning desire, you have a dream. And we always say it's for tomorrow, for tomorrow, for tomorrow. So this was one of the projects we had really wanted to start, Estelle and myself, when we were still dating as young couple. But we would postpone, let's settle, family, career, we would do it.
Yeah, you have a plan.
You have a plan, but when she passed, I realized that it is possible to die with all your dreams, and it can't be blamed on God.
Can you talk a little more about that?
So, people who die, they die while they're still dreaming of doing something. And what God is expecting, I think, from us is to be active participants. If He has put a dream or a thought in your heart, it's because He knows you have that capacity to do it, and He has provision for you. So you postponing it might derail or delay that particular dream to materialize, and it won't stop you from dying. So I realized that there are books, there are songs, there are projects, there are lives that are buried with people. To quote late Dr. Miles Monroe, he used to say the same. He was like, I want to die empty. I want to empty myself. And when this happened, I did realize indeed how loaded we can go, and it would be kind of, not to use the strong word, but kind of stealing the next generation or those who survive us of what they could have benefited. So I started this foundation to empower people through skills, starting income generating activities, and we're focusing back home. Currently we're building a school, the school I went to, which has been destroyed by the wars, and we're trying to rebuild, give a chance to those young kids that are in the same situation as I was a few decades ago, to have hope and to dream. So that's what the foundation does, and but it's part of me emptying myself of all that God has endowed in me.
And I'm sure your wife, she's looking down from heaven and just smiling. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I also mentioned that you're a father of 2 girls. Tell us more about them. But what they're like, what are they up to these days?
Yeah. So Kayla and Shayna. Kayla is my firstborn. Shayna is the second. They're wonderful. I raised them myself, or I'm still raising them by myself. Shana was 2 years when their mom passed. Kayla was 7. So what I struggled most with wasn't necessarily raising them, because to me, and sometimes people ask me, how do you do it? I'm like, what do you mean? It's normal. I do what I have to do. But the hardest part was, how do I make sure that these two young ladies who are growing without their mom are not left like grow with imbalance in their emotion.
Yeah, I can imagine. So not to give it away, but in your book, you definitely talk about some of the difficulties and definitely please more talk about that. Some of the difficulties they had in growing up without a mother. Like, I can't imagine what Mother's Day was like, and holidays, and how did you how were you able to help your daughters deal with their grief when you're dealing with your own?
Yeah, and it's still an exercise we go through every day. As they mature, they have sort of that sense of understanding things. But what I realized earlier on, which could have, in some case, been at the expense of my own grieving, I wanted to make it clear and open to them. We talk about what happened. We talk about everything. They ask me questions. I ask them questions even when they were young. We talk about their mom. So to me, I was intentional. I'm still intentional in how I deal with them. What I don't know, I tell them I don't know, because I'm not a lady. There are things I will never be able to provide as a mother. However, as a father, this is how I think it should be done, and I'm open for you guys to ask me questions. So that openness, I think it does help, and allowing them to know that not having a mother is not their fault, and it's not the end of the world. They can still become who God intended them to become.
Right.
Yeah, but those hard moments like Mother's Day, when they were young, even now we still struggle, because they were like, yeah, Mother's Day is when Mother is there. Why should we even celebrate it? So my response would be, yes, but you are going to be mothers one day. So I want to celebrate you.
That is so profound, Willy. Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yes, and you can still celebrate her.
Definitely.
Yeah. You always carry her in your heart, right?
Yeah. Especially them.
Well, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Any last thoughts you would like to leave? Feel free to hold up the book again. When light fades away,
hope remains.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage the viewers. You definitely need to get this book. I think it's a book for everybody, because at some point we go through adversities, we go through tragedies, and when you're stuck, and if I had to say one main theme to come out of this book, it's you can go on. So I just want to thank you again. For definitely. One more time, yes. Because we have to promote this book now.
Sure, one, get the book.
Yes.
Second, really, even though I'm talking about my personal story, I think it's applicable to everyone.
Everybody, it is.
So I give vulnerable facts and events here that I think can be of help. But one of the forces that really did help me is my trust in God. I questioned why things happened, but I never questioned the love of God and God Himself. So regardless of what we're going through, however hard it is, never doubt of love, the love of God. Nothing changes the love of God.
That's right.
Nothing, death, riches, difficulties we go through. Be encouraged, but I encourage you to dare to jump on. Don't postpone those dreams because something happened to you. God knows why it happened, but He also knows that within you, you have the power and that capability of becoming who God intended you to become. So grab a copy and God bless you.
Yes, thank you. So last question, any projects you're working on these days that you'd like to share with the viewers?
Yeah, so actually this book is being translated in French.
Wow.
So I think it will come out next week or the week after. So I'm excited to reach the Francophone of Canada and elsewhere. So that's one of the project. The other one is the school I talked about. We are building. We need many people to join our effort. I'm a songwriter. I've kind of paused that side for the past few months, but I have so many things going on, and I have few books that I'm planning to write, but I haven't really spent much time on it. I wanted to finish this.
Now, talk a little more about your singing before we go. Yeah, well,
yeah. I have one recent song I released last November. It's called My Light. It's kind of a summary of this book. And the chorus goes that He gives hope to the hopeless. And then the bridge, there is somewhere we sing that He did not promise us that we won't have troubles, but He promised that He will never leave us alone. Right. So that's one of the songs, the most recent. I don't know when I will release the next, but Kayla is into singing, so I'm encouraging her. So hopefully she will take over. That song actually we collaborated with her.
Oh wow!
So she's check it out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? A man of many talents. Thank you so much. You know, it's been a pleasure, and this was very special because you are my very first guest.
Thank you,
for
Francine.
Faith in Fire. So I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All the viewers out there, thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, bye for now, and stay blessed. Thank you for joining me today on Faith in Fire. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Join the conversation. We love hearing from you. Until next time, take care.